Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Report, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's take a look at some stocks on the move today. I'm Nathan Hager, joined by Bloomberg's Valerie Teitel, starting off with the stock of the day that's dragging tech shares lower. Yesterday it was Oracle, and Valerie, this morning it's Broadcom. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Nathan. Happy Friday. Yes, another down day for the NASDAQ. It looks like we're headed for on the back of Broadcom earnings, and the shares dropping around 6% so far in pre-market trade. They gave an outlook that essentially just failed to meet expectations. The market was disappointed to hear that the order backlog is only $73 billion over the next 6 quarters. And to add to that, the CEO during the conference call with analysts failed to give a revenue forecast for 2026, just giving one for Q1 of next year. And I think all this combined just highlighted concerns that have been lingering over Broadcom, that of tightening profit margins for the chip maker. Broadcom does compete with NVIDIA in the highly competitive AI chip market space. So Broadcom on a back foot, leading the NASDAQ lower, down 6%.
Meanwhile, on the front foot of all stocks, Lululemon for a change, Valerie.
Yeah, Lululemon is in the green after earnings, up nearly 10% in pre-market trade. They raised their full-year outlook, and their sales beat expectations in the third quarter, which was driven by growth in international markets. But the juicy announcement came later that their CEO will be stepping down in January. Now, the retailer has yet to find a replacement, but I think the market and analysts, investors are kind of excited about the prospect of a new CEO, perhaps a new strategy after a period of sluggish growth for the company. The stock is down some 50% year to date, and it's been struggling with sales growth recently that really did peak after COVID when we were all wearing yoga clothes right. At home on our couch. So since then, really, the sales growth for Lululemon hasn't been pretty, and I think the market is excited that perhaps a leadership change could shake things up at the athleisure wear retailer.
And some regulatory change, at least reports of it, seems to be met pretty well by investors in UBS over in Switzerland.
UBS hitting a 17-year high, the highest price for UBS since 2008, up 3.5% in trade in Switzerland. And this comes after some reports that Swiss lawmakers have proposed allowing UBS to use AT1 bonds instead of equity to meet capital requirements. Now, these proposals could give us a way out of this political standoff between UBS and the Swiss regulators. Remember, it was reported earlier that UBS had talks with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent looking at moving their headquarters out of Switzerland to other areas which have less onerous legislation. This comes after a recent effort to tighten bank rules in Switzerland. The planned capital reforms have really been a big cloud over UBS's share price ever since the Swiss government started discussing this last year. But it seems like UBS is reacting very positively to this new proposal, which will give it some reprieve on the regulation front. They're up 3.5%.
And speaking of reprieves, there's some reports out there that President Trump is thinking of reclassifying cannabis, maybe giving the regulations a little bit of relief there. Yeah. What's that doing for cannabis stocks this morning?
They are surging. We have Tilray Brands up 28%, Canopy Growth up 22%, and various others having double-digit gains this morning. And this is on the back of reporting that President Trump is expected to direct his administration to reclassify marijuana as a less onerous drug. The change would classify cannabis in the same bucket as codeine and anabolic steroids rather than where it's currently classified, which is next to heroin and LSD. Now, the Trump administration has sought to crack down on drug trafficking and taken a tougher stance on other drugs, one of those being fentanyl, which I guess caused the tariff explosion with China earlier this year.
The Stock Movers Report from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.